The Shannon Speed Series coverage continues live here at Phillip Island. We are about to move into our Saturday main event, and that is the GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS. Now, there is some breaking news in relation to the pole sitter, the car of Valentino Rossi behind me here, the Aston Martin in the hands of both Declan Fraser and Liam Talbot. We're going to bring Declan Fraser in here, who's scheduled in this 1 hour race to take over the car from Liam Talbot. Now, unfortunately, there's been a review of things from qualifying. The car, as we understand it, has been disqualified. So is that rear of grid for you? And just tell us what's happened and how you feel about it.
Yeah, look, it's definitely unfortunate. It is rear of grid for both races, so it affects both of us. But it's unfortunate. We're very equipped race car drivers are going to go out there and give it our best from the back of the grid, and we'll make our way forward. It was, for reference for everyone, it was probably a bit of a misinterpretation, or I guess difference in procedures from the way that we pump out fuel, and we came 300 grams under fuel. So there actually was still fuel left in the car, but just the way that the pump out system works, it was a little bit different. So they're the rules. We just didn't get it right, unfortunately, but I have full faith in the Valentino Rossi team to get us back up the grid, and full faith in Liam to have a good start here and get us back up.
Is there strategically something you can do, given that you are a little bit on the back foot, and maybe try something a little different and hope for a safety car?
Yeah, I mean, safety cars are going to be our friend in this. I know that Liam is a fierce racer. He's been a champion in this category multiple times. So I know that he's going to get the elbows out. He's going to put his eyes forward and peel through them one by one. And if we can get a safety car halfway through his stint to get the field back up close again and get going again, it'd be awesome. But I just love GT racing. It's you never know what's going to happen, and that's the fun of it. So we'll get after it.
There's always, I mean, these are always difficult situations, but we appreciate you taking the time to share it with the audience. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
There he is, Declan Fraser. So cars are leaving the pit lane here. We are scheduled for an hour of competition with a compulsory pit stop thrown in there. Some driver changes for many of the entries as well. This is, as we said before, the headline act of the Shannon Speed Series in partnership with SRO in 2025. A big year ahead, some awesome cars in this field, and a peppering of drivers that are at the very elite level of competition in this country. About to take you to your commentators who will give you a bit more of an overview of the race and what to expect, and we'll bring you some updates from the lane as things happen. Alongside Thomas Randall, here is Richard Craill.
Rusty, thank you and good afternoon. What a scene it is at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, and on the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit as well, because this field is as hot as GT fields come anywhere in the world in terms of depth of competition and the pressure involved. This is going to be an outstanding motor race. Really looking forward to bringing it to you with my mate Tommy Randall alongside me for this. A guy who's got plenty of miles in these cars on the mountain and here at Mount Panorama. Let's just look back a little bit before we look forward. 2 qualifying sessions earlier today. Qualifying 2 for the AM drivers set the grid for this race. It was incredibly competitive, Thomas, and even with the DNF there for the DSQ, we should say, for Liam Talbot, a 1/10 of a second covered the 4 cars that line up on the front row of this grid. It is ferociously competitive. It doesn't matter if you're a pro or if you're an AM.
No, it was, well, both sessions were completely exhilarating. To think that in the pro session, the first qualifying, there was a 1/10 and a half covering the top 5, and then the same went for the AM guys. It was a 1/10 that was covering the top 4. So pretty crazy qualifying session, and that is such a big blow for that Valentino Rossi Aston Martin.
We've just seen an outstanding start to the monochrome GT4 race, and maybe some of those drivers aspiring to get here in GT World Challenge. With more on that, here's Chris Stubbs.
Thank you very much. They might be very happy where they are because, gee, they've had some success, haven't they? Tom Heyman, also Max Gagan. I'll start with you, Max, bringing it home. How was that out there, crossing the line to the checkered flag?
Mate, it was good. It was a bit of a, what we have in Norway, a bit of a shotgun race. Like, there was everything going on everywhere, but it was good fun. The car was really, really good. Tommy gave it to me in a good position. Obviously, we came out just behind the Audi and bit of a muck around there together with a bit of traffic, but yeah, just got in front and was able to just sort of hold that gap a little bit. So, no, the car was really good, and thanks to all the boys and girls at Method. It's been a good day.
Tommy's going all right, as are you?
Yeah, I can't have any complaints about him, so that's for sure. We had a few hard-in-mouth moments through that race at the end, but yeah, fully trust him. He did an amazing job for the first race of the year.
Well done, boys.
Cheers.
I'll move on down now to second place, and guys, awesome Blake Purdy and Daniel Price. Blake, I'll start with you, your race, and to finish up here on the podium.
Yeah, it was a blinder of a start. I feel like my reaction times were perfect, but yeah, just controlled the race from there and gradually edged the gadget, like got a bigger gap throughout the race. But yeah, like handed the car to Daniel, and yeah, it was. I'm not sure about the penalty. I was touch and go with the pit entry, but yeah, we'll review it and see what was going on.
You weren't alone. There were plenty being handed out, that's for sure. Daniel, you did a good job out there.
Yeah, thank you. We come, when I left pit lane, I was like, okay, we've got a lead. Come back around the next lap and Gagan was pulling out and I thought, oh, here we go, we got a race. And then a couple of mistakes. He got onto the back of me and there's some lap traffic. I think we rubbed doors and yeah, we sort of sat behind him the rest of the race. Got told we had a small penalty and just, yeah, not to do anything silly, so.
10-second hurt, but well done to both of you.
Thank you.
And then we'll bounce on down to third place. George, a moment coming off turn 12. Talk us through what happened. It made the highlight reel and to still finish on the podium.
Yeah, it's a Code Brown, mate, if I've ever seen one. Yeah, look, I had come out of the pits, obviously, and caught the second McLaren, and you know, he was doing a great job to hold me up or not hold me up or whatever he was doing, so I knew I had to try and make something happen, and I just rode the dragon too tight, I think. I was right in the air wash, and the car already was pretty deadly. We found that it was quite loose after Ryland's stint, so yeah, I was just so lucky to get out of that. You know, it was actually, the crash was that long, I had time to think about it and try and do something about it, which was helpful. But yeah, to come back and finish on the podium, I mean, sorry to the team. I know, sorry to Ford. They're here. We would have been, I think, probably a step or up again, but you know, it is what it is, and I felt like I drove well after that.
Ryland, it was a good recovery, wasn't it? We did speak to you after the crash, but to get on the podium, like George said, was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good from George. I think he had a pretty good recovery drive, and the lap times were there with the leaders. So, pretty stoked to get on the podium after a mistake, but it all happens to the best of us. So, yeah, pumped.
Well done. Enjoy the celebration.
Thanks.
All right, let's get to Greg Ross. We've got GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS after a cracking monochrome GT4 race.
Stubbsy, thank you. We're with someone who's spectating for now, but we'll get down to the business of driving before we know it. Jaden Ojeda, third row of the grid here. How are you looking for this one?
Yeah, looking good. Paul's done an awesome job. He's you know, taken a good step forward this year. The Amfield is incredibly close this year, which is great, and obviously the good depth of pro cars as well. So it's going to make for a really exciting race. What,
you know, from your point of view, the busy year that you have in 2025, how important is it for you playing in this series and knowing just how competitive things are?
Yeah, it's good. You know, every chance you get to take a lap in these cars, you learn something. So a busy calendar also means I'll be learning a lot, and adding to the Tuscany Motorsport crew, we've obviously got 2 Pro-Am AMGs this year. So adding to the competition, which is really stepping up year on year.
Okay, quickly, can you shed any light on how you might tackle this one, you guys? Is it a case of when the window opens, get in and get behind the wheel as quick as you can?
Basically, fold the mirrors in and just look forward.
Okay, there he is. We're about to take you to commentary. I love that stuff. Let the race drivers do their race driver things, Kralsey.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. Here we go, full juice spec in this one, and we look forward to that because it's always exciting. He's one of those box office racing car drivers, Jaden Ojeda. You pay money to watch him race. Really looking forward to seeing how that plays out when he jumps aboard. So in the Pro-Am combinations, it's the Am driver that starts this race, which means they finish race 2 tomorrow afternoon. The pros jump in the second half of this when the pit stop window opens. So it's a cool way, and it's a bit of a roller coaster ride the way these races play out over the course of the weekend. Lots of manufacturer interest, Mercedes, AMG and Ferrari on the front row. The guy Valmont Racing from Tuscany Autosport, number 55. Great job from Sergio Perez to do the job in qualifying, to whack that thing on pole. Elliott Shute, well, second, I should say. Elliott Shute did the job with a 26.60, 7/100ths of a second in front of Perez. Brad Schumacher third in the Kelso Electrical MPC Audi. He was 0.08 away from pole position for this race. And then Mark Rosser fourth for the ACM Finance Team BRM Audi was exactly 0.10 away from pole position. It is that close and that competitive. And the drivers to jump in those cars in the second half of the race, with George King will drive the Mercedes AMG. Elliott Schute's got Jackson Evans back for a second year. They won a couple of races last year. Brad Schumacher's got the Fiend, B-Fiend, alongside him. Brock Feeney will jump aboard 888. And then Mark Rosser has Alex Peroni to drive the ACM Finance car. And then a little bit further back, we see Shane Smollen in the Grello Porsche for EMA Motorsport, where Dorian Boccolacci did a super job in pro qualifying to put that thing on pole. and he will jump into that car for the second half of the race. And we heard from Jaden Ojeda. Paul Lucchetti starts this one from the outside of the third row of the grid. In the Realtor Tigani Mercedes AMG, behind that, Brendan Leach and Tim Miles. And Tim was ruining a tyre selection, old versus new, in qualifying that said I probably could have been 4/10 better than I was. So he's got a little bit of time to find, but they feel like they've got a very competitive race package in the Dale ITM Audi. So watch for them to come forward. And Brendan Leach, the fast man from Invercargill, will jump in the second half of the race.
That was a good summary there, Crailsey, I've got to say. It's a hard one to pick at the moment with, you know, who can take the spoils. And back to qualifying, so our grid positions at the moment is based off where these guys qualified, so qualifying 2. And some of these guys actually elected not to run a set of green tyres and use the hot, warm tyres that their pro drivers used in the first part of qualifying. So that leaves that rubber up their sleeve for potentially this race or Sunday's race. But the pit will open, the pit time will open half an hour into the race for the Pro-Am category, but 25 minutes into the race for the Am class. So that's something to look out for as well.
Right, you know this place very well. You've won in all sorts of different racing cars. It's a wild location. We know that. What's the key to a quick lap for the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit?
In a GT3 car, Crailsey, a key to a quick lap is flow. Trusting the aero, keeping that aero platform. There's so many high-speed corners here. Turn 1, 6th gear on approach all the way through turn 1. Hard braking, you've got to be able to trust the braking platform of the car into Miller Corner, turn 4, and MG at turn 10. So really important to get the car late braking into there, get it rotated and get it off into Siberia off turn 4. And then, yeah, trusting the aero through turn 1. Lukey Heights, critical that you just try and be as smooth as possible with your inputs, and then getting off turn 11 into turn 12 with the final corner here in qualifying being full throttle, which is just crazy to fathom, to think that that is possible in these cars. But 1 minute 25 lap times around here, a 4.44 kilometre circuit is crazy fast.
And when you look at the data, it's near as makes no difference. 55 seconds of that, flat 100% flat out throttle. So it's an awesome place to watch racing cars. And GT3 cars with all their aero and the Pirelli slicks in and among it as well. The vibe in the paddock is one of, there are 10 combinations that could win races this year, and realistic title contenders over the balance of the season, almost as many. It is that wide open in GT World Challenge Australia. It is fiercely competitive, and every team sort of poking in around the corners as we confirm the grid for you, just to see what everyone else is doing, because the margins are tiny. So we've talked about a lot of these contenders. Am Class pole went to Renee Gracie for this race in the OnlyFans car out of 9th place. Ben Schutz and Shane Woodman alongside in the number 16 car, which is good to see. Watch out for Anthony and Paul Pedersen as well from Mach 1 Engineering out of New Zealand. They've been running Mercedes in GT New Zealand over the summer, and they're pretty match fit and race ready. Looking forward to their GT World Challenge debut. All right, here we go. We've been building up to this. We've been looking forward to this. The strongest and deepest field we've seen in GT World Challenge Australia in terms of depth of competition for years. And the scene is set with Ferrari and Mercedes AMG and Audi and Porsche all ready and all waiting to go into battle, with Elliott Shute and Sergio Perez starting this race on the front row of the grid. Long hold, green flag, racing at the island. Good start, Brad Schumacher on the second row in the Kelso Audi. And he gets himself lodged under the rear wing of Schute's Ferrari as they go wheel to wheel around the outside at turn 1. And then the inside line gives the Mercedes AMG right of way into the southern loop.
Yeah, great to hold it around the outside there at turn 1, and that's given him the inside for turn 2. So Sergio Perez with the lead over Elliott Schult, and then Schumacher in behind. It was pretty close between Smollen and Woodman through turn 1 as well. It actually looked like they made a bit of door-to-door contact as Rosser down the inside, big move down the inside, trying to make a move on Schumacher. Manages to get it stopped. Thought there could potentially be contact there, but everyone's kept it pretty clean so far through the first half of the lap.
It tempts you, it beckons that big braking stop from 230 kilometres an hour down to about 80 at the apex as the Ferrari goes side by side, and Elliott Shute The young West Aussie gets himself in front for Arise Racing. So it was Mark Rossi in the ACM Team BRM Audi. Tim Miles is up a couple of spots, up to 5th place. He's got past Shane Smollen and Paul Lucchetti as well.
Looks like Talbot now trying to go around the outside of, is that the Ferrari potentially?
Steve White, potentially, yeah. I think he has. So Talbot's made up a bunch of positions in car number 1. Shown in 11th position at the second timing intermediate for Valente Rosso, excluded from both qualifying sessions and starting from the back in both races.
So shouldn't be happy that he got back in front of Perez. I thought Perez might have tried to do a little bit more there at turn 5 to defend and hang on to that lead, because it's so critical, if you can in these cars, to get clean air when you're out in front. As soon as you're behind, you get that dirty air. These cars having so much aerodynamics, they do create a bit of a wake of dirty air that flows off the car. So if Perez can try and stay with Chute here and maybe force a mistake, otherwise the longer you stay right behind it, it just overheats your front tyres. But I tell you what, Chute's putting on a bit of a defence now into turn number 4, down the inside, trying to close the door on Perez. But again, everyone cleanly through lap number 2.
Shane Smollen, EMA Motorsport Porsche. Dorian Boccolacci, the French former Carrera Cup France champion, jumps in, open wheel expert, but Smollen drops it a little bit wide on the exit of Siberia. He's running 6th in the Porsche. EMA making a comeback full-time to GT World Challenge Australia this year. GT4 champion of last season in a Porsche Cayman 718 GT4. So the big step up into the GT3, the big boy, the 911 GT3R.
So Talbot's up 5 spots, and now he's behind Paul Peterson in the Mercedes. So that'll be vying for position number 10 as they all get through what'll be the end of the second lap, and it's still very close at the front. Less than half a second covering those top 2 cars, 3/10 now. And everyone at the top 5 is just trading fastest laps, with Tim Miles at the moment setting the fastest lap of the race with a low 1:29. So less than 2 seconds covering the top 5 at the moment. And I'll tell you what, Perez is really on the back of the Ferrari here. And if he can try and get a clean run off turn 2, whether or not he can try and go for a move maybe into turn 4. But when you're a leader here, when you're leading around turn 3, what you can kind of do is just open up the wheel ever so slightly early, as Mark Rosser down the inside now of Schumacher. Oh, that's twice now he's attempted that maneuver, but Schumacher shuts the door, and Rosser a bit squirmy off the exit there, so he's going to have to be careful of Tim Miles now who's on the back of him.
Yeah, and Miles racy at the start of this one. They thought they had a good race car there in the Dale ITM end of the Team MPC garage, but wow, they're living up to that. And he is locked to the back of Mark Ross's independently run Audi with Team BRM. So good battles early on. Elliott Chute just getting up to speed in that Ferrari, having taken the race lead. Perez not letting him get away. Great shots of the drone. Shows you how tight MG is, and they squeeze the throttle on, flow the car through turn 11, and then open it up on that long run around 12. And exit here is so important, because if you trip up, you have a little moment mid-corner, it affects you all the way down, not just to turn 1, but turn 2 as well. The Ferrari's so good through the high-speed stuff. Everyone who follows them says, man, the high-speed stability these Ferrari 296s have got is great. The Merc's got plenty of torque, plenty of grunt, but as always, they produce their speed in different areas, but they will end up doing almost exactly the same lap time as we saw in qualifying.
Indeed, and at the moment, the Aston Martin has the fastest first sector, then the Ferrari of Elliott Chute is quickest in the middle sector, and then we have Perez in the Mercedes quickest in the final sector. Now, this just might be a case of Chute just trying to control the pace, bring those tyres in. It is a 1-hour race, and there is a mandatory pit stop when the window will open with the 25 or 30 minutes into the race for these guys, the Pro-Am class. But there will be no tyre changes, albeit unless there is some form of issue. So it'll just be about bringing these tyres in. As we know, this place, Phillip Island, is high loading, and we did see last year a few punctures late in the race for some of the pro guys. So it'll just be a case of probably just bringing that tyre in, let the pressures come up before you really start to attack.
And as we saw in Monochrome GT4, there's no penalty times, no BOP pit stop times added to this race. It's a clean sheet of paper, the opening race of the championship. We'll get that tomorrow, but today it is a flat-out car race, so some strategy will play in as to when you can get into pit lane. Speaking of said pit lane, here's Greg Rust.
And Krause, you think you're having a kind of nail-biting time watching the race, and so are the viewers at home. Spare a thought for Brendan Leach, who's watching on here. Feedback so far from Tim looks like the start's gone pretty well, and perhaps the car's maybe performing even better than qualifying.
Yeah, it looks like he's a lot more comfortable than qualifying already. A really good start, up 3 spots, and managing to hold on to the guys in front at the moment. It seems like the Ferrari's being a bit of a safety car, so that's good for us. And yeah, Tim just needs to bring the thing home in one piece, and then we can see what we can do in that second half.
This is a game, as you well know, from what you do overseas and here in Australia, that is constantly evolving, right? I mean, I have very fond memories for you guys of 12 months ago at this round, but it feels like it's harder, and it's not as easy to replicate as what you did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like there's a lot more cars that are capable of winning, which is awesome actually to push us as well. But you know, it's always nice to have an easy win for sure. But yeah, you know, it's yeah, so far so good, and we just have to make sure we bring the car home in one piece every time.
Let you get back to it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Rusty, with the Invercargill connection. Brendan Leach, I'm sure his mum and dad, Barry, great racer and car restorer down in that part of the world, will be watching on, and major sponsor Deb Day and family from Dale ITM will be tuning in on GT World, watching in from New Zealand, so g'day to them. Brendan doing a great job as always, and fellow South Islander Tim Miles, a little bit further north in the South Island, from a little town called Ashburton. He and his mate Timmy Miles and John Evans and all the Kiwis grew up there terrorising the local racetracks. They're having a great time. It's cool to see the Kiwi representation. Of course, we visit Hampton Downs at the end of the season. Speaking of Kiwis, there's another one, young Ryan Wood watching on from the MPC garage. He'll jump in with Steve Brooks in the 88 Wolfbrook car, second half of the race. While we heard from Brendan Leach and Greg Rust, we saw a battle for the lead unfolding, and there was a big move down the inside, Perez, but Chute swept across the outside.
Yeah, it's a tough one in turn one. Unless you've got the momentum or you are 100% alongside someone, it's really challenging to make that move stick. Turn one here, as we know, is so high speed, especially in these cars where there is effectively no brake, or if anything, the tiniest amount of brake, and with all the camber that you have through turn one, you can actually hold it around the outside. And in other categories, we've seen 4 wide into there, so if you're going to make a move into turn one, it has to be pretty authoritative. And that battle now, it's sort of evened out. It's about half a second between Chute and Perez, whether Perez has maybe waved the white flag slightly and thought, okay, I'm just going to back it off a little bit, try and protect those front tyres, not let them overheat. Battle between the two Audis here, Brooks and Kunduras. And when they pit, Brooks will have the car taken over by Ryan Wood, who we just saw on camera, the Walkinshaw Andretti United supercar driver.
I love these races, Tom, and I love the way they play out, because you go into it with uncertainty, and it's uncertain all the way through to the other end of the pit stops, especially in this first leg when the pros jump in the second half. And it's sort of reversed when you get to the race on Sunday afternoon. One of my favourite races of last year, and Brendan Leach referred to it, chatting to Rusty, was the battle between Brad Schumacher and Tim Miles at this venue. The two of them spent half an hour boxing on for what would ultimately be a race win, and both incredible drives from both of them, and the passion at the end that they displayed was sensational. I love the way these races play out, and you feel like that this one has that in the making, such as the depth of this field. Chute continues to hold on. Young guy from WA, part of a driver search program that Arise Racing put together, and sort of came out of nowhere to be very competitive in their First Focus Radical Cup program, and he has since progressed into the GT program with Arise Racing GT. Has a very close association with their Radical team based at Wanneroo, and he was very good last year. He and Jackson Evans built as the season went on and put together a really good campaign, especially their back half of the season. They were in the shadow a little bit of the Chaz Mostert, Liam Talbot combo at the front, but as the year went on, they really claimed a couple of great results, and they're in a good position this year.
Yeah, he's doing a cracking job at the moment out in front, and I'm actually been impressed by Perez, how much speed he's actually able to carry through some of these high-speed corners in behind the Ferrari. He was super strong here at turn one on the previous lap, but just trying to duck out, show the nose into turn one behind Chute. He's trying to force Elliott into a mistake and get Elliott to really look in his mirrors, put him under pressure. But this team, Arise Racing, I mean, entering the championship last year with those 2 beautifully prepared Ferraris and taking the championship with Mostert and Talbot. Obviously, Talbot's now moved on. into that Volante Rosso Aston Martin, which he's up into 8th position now from 16th. So he has done a cracking job in the first 7 laps, and just setting the fastest first sector of the race actually is Liam Talbot. But this battle out in front, it's just maintaining around that 2 to 3 as we've got. Is that Brooks off?
Yep, it is.
Turn number 2. Now this could very well be a safety car. It looks pretty beached there, Krause.
And well before the pit stop window opens, so this may well neutralise the race. You don't drive out of the Southern Loop gravel trap generally, especially in one of these cars which has no ground clearance, and safety car has been called. So we push pause on this battle, and it's a little bit of breathing time for what was building in intensity at the front of the field. Declan Fraser will jump into the number 1 car, and you've been pointing out that Liam Talbot is going incredibly quickly in the number 1. So what a start, 15 minutes into the opening race of a brand new GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS season. Elliott Chute leads Sergio Perez and Brad Schumacher. The AM class being led by Renee Gracie. 42 minutes remaining in race 1 of a big brand new season. So, a pause. The BMW safety car we see for the first time today leading the field around. And the Arise Racing guys just watching on. They get their time in the sun before the pit stop.
They're having fun down there, aren't they, Krause?
It's a great group of people led by Jordan Noon and Jake Claridge, who looks after the commercial side, so Adam DeBore. They've got Scotty Sinclair down there as well, helping on the engineering side this weekend. So there's some brain power up and down this paddock, all trying to find the tiny little margins that you need to succeed in GT World Challenge this year. So the BMW M safety car leads the way.
And like you said, Krause, it's sort of neutralised the field as the pit window there is Scott Sinclair. In the background, Jordan Love in the front of shot. He'll be getting ready relatively soon with the pit window opening for these guys in roughly 11 minutes. So field just being neutralised under the BMW M safety car. And this is just allowing those tyre pressures to come back down, cool the tyres off, all probably helping Elliott Chute's campaign at the moment out in front. And not too windy at the moment for that chopper in the air.
Your ride's a little bit early, Tom.
Yeah.
It should be scheduled for the conclusion of this race. Your private transfer back to Melbourne.
I hope it's got enough fuel to hang up in the air for 41 minutes.
They can orbit. Great to see lots of people around this venue. It's looking spectacular, this place. Home of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix and the World Superbike Championship as well, which it's already hosted this year. Phillip Island Classic, always huge. Island Magic at the end of the year. And, of course, the opening round of the Shannon Speed Series. Stubbsy?
Yeah, thank you. Look, it's not the time and place you really want to catch up with Ryan Wood. Woodsy, what just happened there with Steve?
Yeah, not too sure what happened with Steve there, but yeah, he was going good, and obviously a big challenge for him coming over this weekend. So he was going well, and it's unfortunate, but at least the car's nice and straight.
It's a little bit of the commentator's curse. We thought we'd come and catch up with you and see how you're finding it being here at Phillip Island in GT3 machinery. It hasn't all gone your way this weekend, has it?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't gone both our ways in the last couple of weeks, really. So, yeah, we're learning lots and having a lot of fun, and it's good to see Steve over here and really challenging himself because, you know, obviously he does a lot in New Zealand and really good for New Zealand motorsport. But, yeah, we'll see what we can do in this race. And, yeah, for us it's a testing session the next 2 races. So we're having a lot of fun and awesome to be a part of the crew here at NPC.
Mate, good job. Great to see you, and better luck for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, same to you, mate.
He's a ripper, young Ryan Wood. He told the story, hit Brooksy up for some sponsorship, and Steve said, well, actually, I've got something better for you. Just wait. And then he rang him and said, well, how about you come and drive my Audi at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, which is a pretty good deal, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think I'd take that option. Ryan doesn't actually have a lot of experience in GT3 cars, and he actually had a small off in practice on Friday. It was just a little bit of damage on the front end, but he'll still get behind the wheel. They should get that car out of the gravel trap, albeit a couple laps down, but we'll get behind the wheel of that car soon enough.
And it's important for both of them just to get laps now to circulate, and we're told the BMW M safety car will be in at the end of this lap. So yeah, they just need to circulate, get laps, get experience, and get themselves fired up for race 2 tomorrow here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Ferrari, Mercedes AMG, Audi, and a trio of them in the line, followed by the Porsche of Shane Smollen. Nothing between the leading group of cars in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS in the opening round of a brand new season. It's been electrifying already. We're about to go back to racing conditions, and we'll be charging our way towards the pit stop window opening. It opens at the 25-minute mark for the AM entries, so Renee Gracie, Theo and James Kanduris, Shane Woodman, and then 5 minutes later it will open for the Pro-Am contenders, and the leaders will get into pit lane. Rusty?
Kralsey, keep me honest here, not just for me, but also for Jackson Evans, who wants to get back to watching. Hey, these are little sort of nerve-wracking moments, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are. You know, obviously Elliot's doing a really great job leading that race, and safety cars bunched everyone back up, so it's going to make my job a little bit tougher. But you know, he's doing a flawless job out there, and hopefully good safety car restart, he can pull a little gap, and then I'll jump in to finish.
Second year with this team, what's it like working with them? I mean, clearly it was a no-brainer to keep going.
Yeah, definitely a no-brainer. You know, it's to be honest, it's a world-class outfit. You know, they showed that last year in their first season of GT racing, their first season of, you know, putting it all together. So to come back, or to be invited back to team up with Elliot again is, you know, pretty special. And saw him jump leaps and bounds in his progress. So just happy to be along for the ride and, you know, give my expertise over to him.
Cool. Go well in your stint. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
He's a great character, Jackson Evans. Great racing family. That part of the world, South Island of New Zealand I was talking about earlier. His dad Johnny's here this weekend. I think Mum Debbie's as well. So cool to see the family back here. And Jackson will again split his time between Australia and his full-time Supercars campaign, GT World Challenge Oz, and picking and choosing some cool other international GT races. Lights out on the BMW M safety car. And we go back to racing and charge our way towards the pit stop. Elliot Chute, Sergio Perez, Brad Schumacher, the top three, Mark Rosser, and then Tim Miles. Shane Smollen in the Porsche and Paul Lucitti. Liam Talbot in 8th in the Aston Martin gets a bit of a free kick and right to the back of that leading queue of cars. Can he pick off a few more before he plugs Declan Fraser in for the back half of the race?
Green flag flying, and he's away. Elliot Chute takes the restart. It feels like it's the start of the race, to be honest, because everyone's bunched up together again, and heading into turn 1 for the first time after the restart, praying that there's plenty of tyre temperature in those fronts, trusting the aero and the front grip, and that's a really nice, clean start for Elliot Chute with Perez and Schumacher. Schumacher really right on the back of Perez there as well, so now, can Perez get a run here on Chute? Because he's really close in behind Chute. Chute's going to have to cover here down into turn number 4. He puts the car across the inside. He's going to have to hold that. He can't bring it back out. And Perez just having to settle for second position there, slotting in behind Chute. So great defensive driving there from Elliot Chute.
I held my breath a little bit because it's so dirty offline. You can see the gravel that's been deposited on the road there, right on the inside line. So if you're covering, you're not just off the racing line, you're in the muck and the marbles and trying to get the car stopped. So that was a hairy little moment. Elliot Chute did a super job on the restart. Those Mercs have got so much bottom end grunt. They fire in the lower gears with torque. So they often restart really, really well. You've driven them at Bathurst, you know. So Elliot did a great job covering that to hold on in the Ferrari. Behind them, the Audis continue to run 3rd, 4th and 5th with Schumacher, Rosser and Miles all line astern. Then Smollen and Liam Talbot is locked up under the rear wing of Paul Lucitti. And once again, Perez with a great run out the final corner. The Ferrari just puts his car in the middle of the road, but the top end motivation of the Ferrari is certainly not lacking, and he's got that extra straight line speed. If you're wondering why Declan Fraser's name is shown on our timing totem left of screen, there is a timing issue with the timing chip they run in the driver ID system in these cars. So each driver's got a unique ID, and it's not working for Valente Rosso at the moment. So that's why it's showing Declan Fraser. It is definitely Liam Talbot behind the wheel. Rinse and repeat. Again, the Ferrari has to defend, and there was half a look from Rosser on the back of Schumacher, and squeezed out wide was Perez on the exit of turn 4. They come out of it line astern, but there was a lot going on in that couple of 100 metres down there at that big stop.
Yeah, this top 7 is, Schumacher has a moment off of Siberia there, but manages to gather it up, and once again, just putting the car in the right position into turn number 4, not being overly defensive, but just knowing the limits of his car. Perez trying to go around the outside there, but it's almost an impossible task in that way. Oh, that's super close there for Rosser on the back of Schumacher, and we're not too far away. We're about 5 minutes away from the pit lane, just over 5 minutes away from the CPS window opening for the Pro-Am class, with the Am class window opening very, very soon.
Big lunge from Smollen trying to squeeze down the inside of Tim Miles there at MG as they all sort of checked up, which was kicked off by the battle going on a little bit further up the road. Rene Gracie leading the way in the Am class, 10th outright. Theo Konduras next. That's Steve White behind the wheel of the second Arise racing car. Jordan Love will drive that in the second half of the race. Shane Woodman behind in car 16. We should also mention, unfortunately, we've lost the 111 racing entry of Grant Donaldson for the weekend. Unfortunately, they had a gearbox failure early in the weekend, and unfortunately have been unable to get that car repaired and are out for the weekend. So it's a shame for 111 Racing.
So just looking here on our timing screen, race control announcing that the CPS window has opened for the Am and Trophy class, and that will stay open for 5 minutes for that class, and then at the 30-minute mark into the race, the CPS window will open for the Pro-Am class, and once again, that'll only stay open for 5 minutes. So unlike the GT4, Monochrome GT4 Australia series, where that's open for 10 minutes, it's halved that for the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. And not only that, they have to be stopped for 90 seconds. So unlike GT4, where they were 120 seconds, this is 90 seconds. And like you touched on, Crailsy, today, there will be no extra compensation times added to any of the cars.
Even 90 seconds around here. So these cars at full pace will do 26s easily in race trim. The race lap record's 25.5, and this has been a very fast racetrack today in terms of lap times. So you'll borderline go a lap down, if not go a full lap down during that pit stop sequence, depending on where you are in the queue. Talbot has dragged this Aston Martin for Valente Rosso up from the back of the field and got himself to the back of Paul Lucchini. We heard from Jaden Ojeda at the start of the race. He said Paul loves this place. He's been coming to watch the bikes, watching MotoGP and all the legends here for years and years. So he feels comfortable here at Phillip Island, and that's why he's driving well. Rosso with the big send. He's tried this a couple of times today. Does he finally make it stick? He does.
That's a great move down the inside of turn 4. Very authoritative. No contact. Got it stopped in control. And there was really nothing Brad Schumacher could do there. As soon as he saw Mark going down the inside, that was it. So excellent move from Rosso, and that puts him up into 3rd position overall. And Alex Peroni will take over that car in the not too distant future, and he was super fast in qualifying as well.
Perez, Schumacher, their pit stop window still a couple of minutes away from opening. The Ams are in the lane. Still no movement from Liam Talbot. He's stuck in 8th place, and often the further up the field you go, the harder it is to pass because the quality increases, and that's very much the case in this year's field. The quality is high all the way through. Shoot just continues to cling on.
And we saw in the GT4 class or GT4 category earlier how many pit stop or penalties there were, pit stop infringements, CPS infringements. Now in GT World Challenge Australia, there actually is a 1 second tolerance on the minimum pit stop time, which can be used once in each event.
Get a joker.
Get a joker. So that's just in case you're slightly under that, but these cars have got a V-box system. They've got what's called a race logic, and there's a GPS position at pit entry and pit exit, and as soon as you hit that pit entry time, essentially the countdown begins. All cars have it on their dashboard, so it's pretty hard these days in the GT World Challenge to get that wrong, but it can happen.
And your point is a good one, and we should mention that pit stop time isn't the time you're stopped in the box. It's actually more difficult because it's that time from the pit lane to the pit out. So if your transit time here is, let's say, 30 seconds, you've got to add that into the mix of then how long you're stationary too. So that's why it can be quite easy sometimes to go either a little bit under or in some respects a lot under, and you will feel the wrath of race control if you're under that mandatory pit stop time window, especially when there's penalties added later in the weekend for success. So 15 seconds added to that time for winning, 10 for second and 5 for third. Drivers just suited and booted and ready to go. That's Ojeda, and we saw Dorian Boccolacci. Very cool helmet, must be said, before waiting to jump into that Porsche and take over from Shane Smollen.
Very impressive performance from Boccolacci this morning.
Wasn't it?
He said he'd done 4 laps prior to qualifying here. I mean, he's a gun in these Porsche machines. He's driven GD3 machinery for about 7 years. He was Porsche Super Cup France champion in 2023, so heaps of experience in these tin tops and a lot of experience in open wheelers. So to get that pole position was pretty impressive. But another move down the inside.
Rosser. It worked once on Schumacher. It didn't that time on Sergio Perez, but he is super confident under brakes at turn 4.
That Audi, he just can trust that Audi under brakes, can't he? So the CPS window, as I've just been alerted to from my good friend Crailsey, has opened now for Pro-Am. So this is going to be interesting to see whether or not everyone will pit on the same lap, or whether we'll see some pit opposite, as we call it, or box opposite. So do what he doesn't do, which could very well be the case of, say, between Chute, Perez, Rosser and Schumacher here. And that'll be, the radios will be lighting up right now, Crailsey, between all the teams about that.
I love the box opposite term. And no one's boxing opposite. They're all boxing on. Everyone heads to pit lane at exactly the same time. So everything we just told you, don't worry about. They all get to the line, and there's been a moment. Smollen's had a big drama and almost cannoned into the back of Tim Miles, trying to get down to that 40k an hour speed limit.
And that is that speed limit line right there, which is so easy to catch you off guard. So that's been a massive moment for Smollen. Lucky not to run into the back of Miles, but he was on the grass sideways, and it looked like Lucchini actually had to go around him to avoid him. So that's actually a spot. That's actually a spot. Yep. So I can't see anything wrong with that overtake. And this is a very, very busy pit lane. 11 cars, all of the Pro-Am guys in the lane, except for Brooks, but I guess he already had that moment down at turn 2. Feeney, here we go, getting ready to do a driver change with Brad Schumacher, the Kelso Electrics 888 Audi.
Brock, and they asked permission, by the way, to run that number from 888 Race Engineering, who are not running a GT3 program this year. And we will see Will Brown. They're going to alternate between the two Red Bull Empire Racing drivers this season. In comes the Lambo, Adrian Deeks and Tony D'Alberto. Great to see these guys running GT World Challenge Australia this year. Deeks out of the car, and TD will jump in, TCR Australia champ and a podium finisher in the great race as well.
He loves driving these GD3 cars. Absolutely. Very, very, very quick in these cars at the Bathurst 12 hour as well.
So the time stopped. Brendan Leach exit, and oh, there's contact. Is that an unsafe release? There was contact between Alex Peroni squeezing out in front of King, it was, in the Tagani Mercedes AMG. That will be looked at. They're very, very tough if there's contact in pit lane. Did Peroni get out?
It definitely looked like King had to apply the brakes there. So normally, if you're in the fast lane and you have to apply the brakes for a car that's entering the fast lane, as we get a replay here. So just watch the left of our screen. That's King going past in the Mercedes, and then just in front is Peroni, and there you can see the brakes are applied, and there is contact between the Audi of Peroni and King. So I think race control will get a look at that, and normally that's leads to...
It's hard to say if there was an Audi width in the middle to slot that Peroni car in or not. That will be the question.
And this pit lane in particular, Crailsey, is such a narrow pit lane in general compared to every other venue we race at. So it's not like you can transition from the slow lane to the fast lane whenever you want. It's so narrow, so tight, you just have to get to the fast lane, and unfortunately there's been contact between those two.
Steve Brooks jumps out of the Wolfbrook Audi R8 LMS, and in goes Ryan Wood. So they're right at the end of the CPS window, but they're out of the equation anyway. A couple of laps down. As we touched on earlier, just an opportunity for them to get some laps and get some racing underway. So a dramatic moment in pit lane. And we talked at the start of this race, Tom, about the fact that this is a championship that the 1%ers will win or lose you. And Tim Miles has been very big on that. He and Brendan Leach. Last year they had 2 5-second penalties and they had a drive-through. And arguably it cost them 2 race wins and potentially, if not a championship challenge, certainly a top 3 finish. So they're the little moments that can make or break your championship year.
Pit stop infringements are so critical and, like you said, can be detrimental to a great result. You can do everything right. The start, control the race, and then in the pit lane, you might just overshoot pit entry speed. There's so much more involved when you add a CPS or multiple CPSs to it. And it's normally, you've got to tick the boxes, right? And any small error in the pit lane can be costly. But you know who's won out of this? Is the 888, because they were 4th on the road. So, I mean, everyone's got to serve that 90-second pit stop, but they've managed to jump both Peroni and King in the lane.
Yeah, it's been very, very good for them, and race control will still be looking at that rejoin. So the race lead with 23 minutes to go. Jackson Evans behind the wheel. Brock Feeney second in the Audi. Peroni chasing hard in another Audi, and then Brendan Leach is quick as well. It's all building in race 1 in GT World Challenge powered by AWS. So it all builds and the lap times will tumble with the pros behind the wheel. The top 5 cars all setting personal best laps in the race. 27.2 for Jaden Ojeda, the quickest of all of them. Here's Declan Fraser. He's jumped aboard the number 1 Valente Rosso motorsport car. They're doing great things this year, raising some money for charity. Shannons have jumped on board with that car as well. Liam's going to match dollar for dollar any charitable donations, so just jump on board his social media pages. You can get an idea of that. The other driver going quickly is Jordan Love. He's taken over the second Arise Racing GT Ferrari. Needs to set the quickest lap of the race at 26.6. Bet that thing will go quicker too as the race plays out. 22 minutes to go. Any one you feel of the top 6 could probably win this race, but the other one I want to talk about is Dorian Boccolacci, Tom, in the Porsche. He's 5 seconds behind King and trying to get his way up. So 11 seconds off the race lead at the moment, but that Porsche with him behind the wheel has been properly fast.
It has been for a guy that's has hardly any experience here around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. He does have a 10-second margin, though, to catch the leaders, but breaking news is that, yeah, Peroni's just been handed a 15-second time penalty for what would have been that unsafe release in pit lane. So that is a massive blow to their race.
Time penalty, not a pit stop penalty, not a drive-through, so they can retain their position, so they can push as hard as they can towards the end and try and get that car to the finish and then see what happens. You don't know what's going to happen to the other cars around you. They won't want a safety car, though, because that will absolutely destroy them. Right now, 15 seconds puts them 8th on the road, but it's all important from a championship points point of view. Back a little bit further, Brendan Leach has got Jaden Ojeda behind him. Audi versus Mercedes AMG. This is a battle I'm very keen to watch.
You can just feel, Crailsy, this top 6 is just going to close up. Yep. And there's so much pressure at the moment now on Jackson Evans, isn't there?
Let's go to Rusty.
And with Brad Schumacher, guys, thought we'd catch up just at the end of your stint and how it's sort of looking for the back end of this race for you guys.
Yeah, it was looking good now. We're in P2. Obviously, Brock's in the car. It's, really tight at the front out there. The competition is just so tight and so high this year. So I won't lie, it was a struggle out there for me to push that kind of lap time the entire stint. But nice to hand over and then do the undercut here in the pit stop and then put Brock out there into position 2 and hopefully he can fight for a win.
Yeah, great work. You've sort of taken the words out of my mouth a little bit there. Just to reflect, I've spoken with Tim Miles in the last little minute too, and he feels his car was nicer, perhaps a bit better, not as edgy as it was in qualifying. Is it a similar story for you?
Yeah, we for sure struggled a little bit with car setup all weekend, and as did all the Audis here at Audi Sport Team MPC, and we literally didn't go a session without a drastic change, and we made a change again into the race now, and it seems to have settled it down a little bit, which is nice in the high speed stuff here, and hasn't compromised mechanical grip for the low speeds. So yeah, I think that Brock's got a good car to fight with, so fingers crossed we can get a good result.
All right, we're hearing safety car. That's happened while you and I have been chatting. We'll let you get back to it. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rusty, with Brad Schumacher. That car's actually been sitting in the Hotel of Ridges Mount Panorama for the last couple of months on display there and they've dragged it out, put the new wrap on, and got it going for this year's championship. So we're behind the control of the BMW M safety car for the second time today. Jackson Evans leads Brock Feeney with Alex Peroni, a penalty hanging over his head, in third place. And this just sets up an awesome fight to the finish. And you were just saying, Tom Randall, just before the BMW safety car was called to the racetrack, that it was all condensing nicely. And I agree with you, and it was. But what this also does now is bring the Porsche into the game. He was 10 seconds down the road. Didn't have track position after that little issue entering the pit lane for Shane Smollen. Now he does. Game on for Dorian Boccolacci. Before we touch on that further, let's go down back to pit lane with Chris Stubbs.
Richard, thank you. Mark Ross is alongside me, Team BRM ACM Finance. Mate, we'll start with the positive news. You at turn 4, the confidence in the brakes, made some beautiful moves, a great drive. How did you find it?
Thanks, yeah, it was pretty good. Me and Brad seem to be having a few good battles out here at Phillip Island every time we come out, and I think he just got boxed up a bit behind Sergio there, and I just kind of took the opportunity to dive inside of him and managed to pull it off nice and clean.
So you put the team into a good position, but obviously unsafe release. Now you've copped the 15 seconds. Alex is behind the wheel. The rules are the rules. I assume you have to just cop that on the chin, and at least it's in play out there and you don't have to come back in?
Yeah, we don't have to come back in. I think we just had a safety car, so that's probably going to kill us a bit as well. Probably only positive is we'll start tomorrow's race P2 from a good qualifying effort from Alex, and we won't have a time penalty, so we should hopefully have a good result tomorrow. Just also like to say happy birthday, Lucas. Sorry I couldn't be there, mate. 14 today, really proud of you. And thanks to Cara and Ellie and Matilda for celebrating with him as well.
Well said. Happy 14th birthday. Good on you, mate.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, unfortunately, this safety car really hurts the ACM Finance Team BRM Audi in this one. So that 15-second penalty, Peroni will have to knuckle down and get as much track position away from everyone as he can. He's bottled in behind Brock Feeney and Jackson Evans, who are two guys pretty good at life when it comes to race car driving. So there's 16 and a bit minutes on the clock. The opening race of the season. How will this play out? Jackson Evans with it all to do for Arise Racing to pick up where that team left off as champions. And what a good restart that is for the Ferrari. Brock Feeney weaving to generate some tyre temperature. Peroni following, then Brendan Leach. New Zealand will be tuned in. They are tuned in and watching the Dale ITM Team NPC entry going at it, and then back to Jaden Ojeda, and there's always a chance when he's behind the wheel of the Realtor Mercedes. All to play for, and about 16 minutes to play.
Yeah, that was a cracking restart for Jackson Evans. Beautiful launch off the, well, heading down the straight. Just sort of caught Feeney napping a little bit as well as Peroni really trying to put the pressure, Leach trying to put the pressure on Peroni. Peroni's held him out, which has allowed Ojeda to get through, and Leach is not giving up, trying to stay on the inside as the two make contact. But they just managed to get through. It looks like someone's off in the background. Is that King? Really wide as he's made a small mistake off Siberia. So that's going to cost him a lot of places there. But, geez, that was on between Peroni, Leach and Ojeda, wasn't it?
It was, and Brendan Leach almost caught on the outside there, and it's cost him a position. Ojeda's gone through, and that'll be a net third position for the Realtor AMG at the moment because Peroni's got that penalty. So Brendan Leach drops a spot, which you don't often say in GT racing. He'll be off to compete in just about every one-make Lamborghini Super Trofeo Championship this year in the US, and he's got some Asia stuff, and I'll probably do World Finals in Europe as well.
Well, what it's done, Crailsy, was that there's that old saying of pass or be passed.
Yes.
What it's done is it's now put Boccolacci right in the box seat, and he's now putting the pressure on Brendan Leach, but Ojeda up into fourth position. Peroni, he'll be in two minds. I'm sure the team would have told him, hey, look, you've got a 15-second penalty, but what's it going to do? He's going to end up losing a bunch of time. So it's sort of a case of Peroni just trying to get his head down, do consistent laps, and build some form of gap. But here we go, Boccolacci, purple, sector 1, and really applying the pressure now to Brendan Leach.
Yeah, game on. 15 seconds at the moment, you're last.
Yeah.
Absolutely last.
So it might be better not to tell him, actually, at
no,
the end of the race.
Head down, mate. Your P3 drive on.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's the Porsche, there's the Aston Martin, Declan Fraser behind the wheel. And the other thing this has done is brought Jordan Love into the mix in the second Ferrari that Steve Wyatt started. Steve's been out of racing for some time. Back in his stats, Bathurst 12-hour start, sort of 2016-17 in AF Corsa Ferraris, and then it's been a little full stop for the West Aussie, and now he got this car late last year. It's a familiar livery to those that have seen Stephen race before. It's a cool thing with that dark Maranello red on the side of the 296, and he's got Jordan Love behind the wheel. Jordan, before they tested this car last week, had never driven a Ferrari GT car. Lots of times in Mercedes AMG, but nothing in the 296. So he's had a little learning process as well. The very fast West Aussie superstar of the sport.
I think he'd still be learning what all the buttons do on the steering wheel.
There's a lot of them.
How many configurations was it on the Ferrari 296? And that was a huge moment there off the exit of turn 1 for Boccalacci. Lucky that they have that extra bit of bitumen on the exit of turn 1, able to gather that up, albeit driving over all those rocks which were laid on the track from the earlier Porsche Michelin Cup race. But so much pressure here on the number 26 Ferrari of Jackson Evans when you've got Brock Feeney right in behind you, and these two obviously race against each other in the Supercars Championship. They'll be racing against each other next week. I'll be joining in there as well.
Yes.
But that number 26 car has pretty much led the whole way, apart from that little blip on the opening lap where Perez managed to sneak through for a couple of corners. And this is the fight between
Tony D'Alberto
and, oh, geez, having to get on the brakes there as it looked like.
I think that was Ant Pedersen.
Yeah.
That's the Mach 1 Engineering AMG. He was running 10th outright, and they charged their way forwards with the help of that safety car. So that's been a strange issue. The other news that we've had is that there's a drive-through penalty coming for Renee Gracie, and she's our AM class leader at the moment, and that's a compulsory pit stop breach. So we saw a bit of that in Monochrome GT4, drive-through penalty coming the way for Renee, and that's going to put Ben Schutz in the lead of the AM class. So race within a race in GT, that's a big moment there. She'll have to serve that penalty within 3 laps of it being notified. Meanwhile, back to the front, the fight remains well and truly on. Peroni set that car's personal best lap last time around, so clearly he doesn't care about any penalty. He just wants to build margin, and it's damage limitation. 2 laps ago, he would have been last. Right now, he'd drop into 13th position, and no, that's not great, but it could get bigger.
Sorry.
And he might actually get some track position here, because there was a big moment for Feeney under brakes down towards the hairpin, and it just opened the door, and that takes some pressure out of Jackson Evans.
Yeah, that was super deep under brakes there for Brock Feeney. These cars, as we know, have got ABS, and as Peroni has a huge moment off turn 3, and that's going to allow Ojeda to slip around the outside of Hayshed. We saw a move very similar to that in the Monochrome GT4 series as well, and that releases Ojeda because that's where he was stuck behind, as we'll head down to the lane to Greg Rust.
Thomas, I've just sort of jumped in on a conversation that isn't fully complete here yet at Melbourne Performance Centre, and it surrounds the AM class lead in Renee Gracie. We understand a penalty may be about to be applied by Motorsport Australia Race Control for something that has perhaps happened here during that compulsory pit stop. I'll update you, but that will affect our race leader in the AM class.
Yeah, we got that news too, Rusty, but the interesting thing is that it's been taken away from our update screen. We get fed all the list of penalties that are applied from Motorsport Australia Race Control. So it's not actually showing. So that's an interesting one for car 181. All Renee can do now is just eyes forward, drive on. And this is actually a battle for the race lead in the AM class with Ben Schutz just in behind. Vastly experienced race car driver is Ben. So they're 9th and 10th on the road, 1st and 2nd in the AM class. Dorian Boccalacci is putting the pressure on Brendan Leach. New Zealand versus France here. It's not a rugby game, but there's some tackling going on, and the Porsche trying to work his way forward.
Looks like Brendan's really struggling with the rear end of that car. You can see through the windscreen, he's really fighting the rear of the car as he turns in. He has to wait and actually correct the car and then turn in again. So just looks like Brendan doesn't have that rear confidence on the entries at the moment, and that's just really going to hurt the rear tyres. So you can see again, once again, as he turns into MG, turns in, has to wait, abort the turn to let the rear settle down before turning again. And this is all aiding Dorian Boccalacci and also letting Ojeda just pull that gap out as well. I think that gap now, Ojeda to Leach, is about 1.6 seconds, and it's only 3/10 between Ojeda and Feeney for second. So Evans out in front. He's stretched his stretched his legs, actually. He's got about a 9/10 of a second, just under a second margin now to Feeney. So he's been doing a really nice job, and I think he would have known before he hopped in the car how much pressure was applied as Boccolacci pretty much matches the fastest lap of the race, which was set by him a couple of laps ago, which is a 1:26.3. So pretty fast if you think about it in race trim when they were doing. Oh,
here we go, side by side. Ojeda looking down the outside this time of Brock Feeney. He'll be compromised, and there's a little bit of contact, and now Ojeda will get the great drive out. Can he go around the outside of Siberia, or will Brock Feeney hold on? Peroni still buying into this. It's the fight for second. A little bit of aero damage on the Audi R8. Great drive out of Siberia. The real to Mercedes is going to go through, and when Jaden Ojeda's behind the wheel, just about anything is possible in this racing, and the Juice gets himself to second. Great racing. Ojeda P2. And he's now got 8.5 minutes to see if he can chase down Jackson Evans.
And that was a fantastic exchange there. That battle started about 5 corners before at the Miller corner, turn 4. Brock defending for his life into turn number 4. And Ojeda just setting him up. And then kind of like 2 laps in a row, getting that outside overtake done through Hayshed, and then having the inside for Lukey Heights. And Feeney could do nothing except, you know, withdraw from the battle and slot in behind Ojeda, and that allows Ojeda now to really try and put the pressure on Evans. But that little exchange took a second out of their lap time, so that's allowed Evans to get up the road to 1.8 seconds as Evans has just set his fastest lap of the race on that lap, so very timely.
I reckon he knew it was coming. He knew that might have been a possibility, and he's got his head down as we go back to this AM class battle, Gracie versus Shoots, and no further news so far on that penalty, and it's not showing up on the timing screen either, so I wonder if they've Team NPC's gone back to race control with some evidence that it didn't happen, and that can happen. Penalties can be withdrawn.
Well, that is one of the cars that doesn't actually complete a driver change in their CPS, as we have the 2 Mercedes, the Black Wolf 16 of Brad Shoots, and the number 55 of King going at it around turn number 4 and 5, and then that's D'Alberto in behind, so he's still got a 15-second time penalty lingering over that car. So not sure what happened there, whether they had a pit lane infringement as well.
The leaders are going punch for punch. Ojeda chasing Jackson Evans, and they're both setting personal best sector times at the moment. So with 6.5 minutes to go, this race well and truly alive. Unfortunately for Tony D, there's 15-second penalty hanging over his head, so that'll pull him out of this fight. But it's all good racing experience. There are the leaders. Last time round, 26.8 for Evans, 26.5 for Ojeda. He was 0.3 quicker, 27.0 for both of their Audis next. And, Renee Gracie gets the thing and almost stops it at the pit limit line.
I don't know whether she nearly overshot that and then realised, and she was...
Done the full in-lap thing as well. Clearly driving angry. Personal best first and second sectors, and then pit.
Now, Feeney in the last few laps, he sort of dropped a bit off the pace because he was applying a lot of pressure to Evans, and now he had to relinquish second place to Ojeda, and Ojeda's put about a 1.3 second margin on him, but he has just set, Feeney, this is we're talking about, has just set his fastest first sector, but it just seemed for a couple of laps there that I don't know whether it just were overpressured or something, or he's had to just back off and let the tyres cool down, but certainly seemed to struggle a bit in that phase, and he does have Peroni all over the back of him too, and this is just allowing Leach and Boccolacci to catch up as well, but they're also battling, so there's sort of mini battles within a big battle as well.
Which is what we love, Tommy. That's what this is all about. It's so good. 5 minutes to go. Far from over this one. The margin is narrowing down gradually, sector after sector. It's down to 1.3 seconds now. Ojeda to Evans. And another 0.3 of a second that time by. So 0.3 of a second a lap, probably 3 or 4 laps to go in the race. On that pace, he'll get there by the end of it. Jackson Evans will be a very, very hard man to pass though. Brendan Leach is good in that first sector of the lap too. It just protects him a little bit from Dorian Boccolacci in the Porsche. And there's Troy Russell from Audi Sport Custom Racing Australia, Team NPC, talking with Motorsport Australia official just about, I would assume, that penalty for Renee Gracie, who served, and that's dropped her now to 3rd position in the AM class. This isn't for, Tom, this isn't for class position. Ben Schutz leads the AM class now, and he's got quite a margin over James Kondouris.
That gap at the front coming down ever so slightly. 1.1 seconds the gap as these guys are fighting for, like you said, technically not a class lead, as Brad Schutz is leading that comfortably. Kondouris is back down in position number 12, and this is our battle for the Pro-Am class. So you've got first and second are battling over first, third and fourth battling over third, and fifth and sixth battling over fifth. So there's like 3 mini battles here, yeah.
Unpick that if you can, good luck. It's good stuff. There's elite level race car drivers at the point end of the field from all corners of the globe in top level GT machinery, run by great racing teams. 26.7 for Evans, 26.5 for Ojeda. It's 1 second exactly now. He's edging it down, 3.5 minutes to go. Is there time? Can he get close enough to have a little speculator, to have a little go at the race lead? Or will Evans have enough to hold on? He's been in this position before, Jackson, in these cars. He knows how to win top-level GT races.
That's the margin right there from our amazing drone shots here as the leaders head into turn number 4, Miller Corner. The gap now, look at that, 9/10 of a second. And the worst feeling for Evans, he'll know that Ojeda is coming. And when you've led the race, albeit your car has led the race for the first 55 minutes, and there's less than 3 minutes to go, you think, oh, like, geez, you know, why me? I feel like I deserve this win. I've led for 95% of it, so, but that's just not how it works. Ojeda couldn't care less about that.
Nope, that's the game. That's why we love it.
Absolutely.
So the clock ticks down. The margin gets closer. Dorian Boccolacci trying to find one way or another to get himself past the Dale ITM Audi of Brendan Leach, who remains in 5th position. There'll be an interesting discussion in Audi land overnight, both at Team BRM and at Team MPC, because in the back half of the race, those cars, I mean, they've been decent, but they haven't quite had that outright pace to go with the leading Ferrari and that real to AMG of Jayden Ojeda. 0.8 is the margin. He's going to get there, but he's going to run out of time to do anything with it, you'd think, by this one.
I don't know whether that slight contact between Ojeda and Feeney's done. You can just see a little bit of damage on the bottom right of that diffuser on the back of the Audi. So whether that's led to, you know, you'd assume a slight bit of rear aero loss, because that car did drop a lot of pace. But as you touched on, the Audi sort of have dropped a bit off from where they were at the start and the middle of the race. You think back to how competitive Mark Rosser and Schumacher were at the start of the race, and they've just dropped back a little bit. So Evans still out in front. That Ferrari has just been faultless so far, hasn't it?
And we're talking like tenths, if not hundreds. It's not a huge margin, but wow, it's intense at the top.
And don't forget, Peroni's got that 15-second penalty, which at the moment will only drop him back to about 8th position. So 9th is 27 or 17 seconds back from him. So I think he'll be safe in 8th, but that'll allow Leach to get that 4th position. But the top 3 at the moment, Jackson Evans from Jayden Ojeda, Brock Feeney, and they'll all get that pit stop compensation time tomorrow.
0.6 of a second, and there'll be enough now for the Merc to get in a tow of the Ferrari and get a little bit of straight line speed advantage too. And they're going to battle to the line. Clock ticking down. There'll be a couple of laps left as Peroni has another look at Feeney. It's for 3rd and 4th on the road, but Peroni with that 15-second penalty. The last thing you want here is any contact between these two, because Brendan Leach and Dorian Boccolacci will be in the perfect position to capitalise if there is. Those 3 Audis running lockstep as they have since the start, the Porsche tacking on.
And if you look at what Jackson Evans has just done, he's just set his fastest first sector of the race.
Great response from the very fast, experienced Kiwi. So he's risen to the challenge being thrown at by the Realtor AMG and Jayden Ojeda. Great, intense GT racing. What a way to start the season. If this is how it's all going to play out, it is appointment viewing all year long.
Looks like they're just approaching on some lap traffic as well. If that's Brooks, I think.
Ryan Wood behind the wheel.
Sorry.
Yep.
As they come around for what will be the last lap when they cross the line.
And how's this on the Pirelli tyres that are on that have been abused for 32 laps, 33 now, personal best sectors for both of the leading cars, and they're on to set PB lap times if they can complete it. It is 26.6. That's the quickest lap of the race for car number 26. He is absolutely flying, Jackson Evans. Jaden Ojeda has charged up to the back, but the Arise Racing driver has responded superbly. And with 4.46 kilometres to go, he's got to fend off this challenge for just a few more minutes.
He's got to hit his marks now and just do nothing different to what he's done for the last half an hour of driving. And like you said, the times, I mean, he's just gone faster than himself in Sector 1 that he's done all race. But these tyres, these Pirelli tyres, they're so durable. You can pretty much do quali laps every lap. And as the fuel burn comes off, you're just getting lighter and lighter, and you're getting quicker and quicker. And we are approaching nearly 5 p.m. here, local time in Melbourne or Phillip Island. So it's getting nice and cool. And we could see his fastest lap on the last lap.
Don't forget to change your clocks tonight, by the way, so you can be on time tomorrow. Ojeda, is there a final roll of the dice at MG? He's closer than he's ever been. Evans blocks, covers his line.
Can he go for a switchback?
Ojeda gets good drive out of MG. This is the race to the checkered flag. Ferrari versus Mercedes AMG. Evans versus Ojeda, but Jackson Evans will have done enough. A supreme drive from he and Elliott Shute. And the first race of 2025 goes the way of Arise Racing GT by the grand total of 0.25 of a second. After a ripping way to start our championship. Good comeback drive here. Across the line, Declan Fraser in car number 1. Started from the very back, and this is why Brock Feeney limping with a right rear that has run out of air, and the tyre coming off the rim. So that's going to elevate Brendan Leach and Tim Miles to the podium in this one. Feeney will limp the car to the line and get some championship points for he and Brad Schumacher. But late drama for the Kelso Electrical Team MPC Audi, and it cost them a podium finish.
Oh, what a disappointment on the last lap, and he's just pulled over at the end of pit exit there. But what has gone on there? Has that just been a puncture? Or you can see the damage that it's done, and that is that damage on the rear diffuser that was from the contact with Ojeda. Now, whether or not
cause or effect, I wonder. But yeah, big moment, and just did enough to get the car across the line in 10th position. Ben Schutz gets the number 16 Merc across the line to win the AM class with Shane Woodman. That's an awesome drive by those guys. They'll be very proud of that. Penalty to Renee Gracie, dropped her to second in class at the end. James and Theo Konduras, the Superbarn Supermarkets Audi, ultimately were in pit lane when the checkered flag flew. Get to the bottom of that. Confirmation of results. What a beauty that was. 3 different brands in the top 3. Worth remembering, Alex Peroni and Mark Ross, a 15-second time penalty. It's going to drop them down to 7th or 8th position at the end of that. So Brendan Leach and Tim Miles will get themselves a podium. Dorian Boccolacci and Shane Smoller. Good return for Porsche. Solid return for them today. And a great drive from both, despite a little incident coming into pit lane. And from the back of the field, the Aston Martin, I think that's going to be 5th in the end. That's a really solid drive for those guys too. And confirmation the results update with that penalty now. So P5 from the back of the grid, good stuff for Decker and Liam.
And they won't have a pit stop penalty or pit stop compensation. So great recovery, but they're going to have to do it all again tomorrow. Crailsey from the back of the grid in what will be the second race of the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, as all the cars head back into pit lane. What a cracking race that was, Crailsey.
Unpredictable to the T. Rusty, what a race.
Yeah, unbelievable. We were at Melbourne Performance Centre with Tim Miles. Bit went on toward the end of that race there.
Yeah, poor old Brad and Brock got a flat tyre, maybe from when Ojeda touched them, because the left rear on the Audis was last year we were losing them, probably had too much camber, so we'd stood the tyres up this weekend. So I don't think it was that. So it might have been just when a little bit of contact. But their misfortune was our fortune, so I'll take it all day.
Right, now tell me about the car. You felt, I think you said to me when you jumped out of the car, that it was a bit kinder to you in the race compared to qualifying.
Yeah, so obviously it was good for old fellas like me. Brendan's not that happy with it, listening to the radio communication, but I was, I enjoyed it. I was able to hang with the front back, the front group, which I couldn't do in quali. So it was, for me it was great.
Phillip Island seems to be a kind place to you. Enjoy it.
Got to repeat it tomorrow. Thanks, Rusty. Cheers.
He's a great character, Tim Miles. He genuinely lists his greatest career achievement in his driver bio as selling supercars twice, which he did. He brokered the sale when the championship was sold on 2 occasions, but a great race car driver in his own right, successful in one-make Porsche racing and then back into GTs. Rolled out in the Formula Atlantic in the off-season as well over in New Zealand, an ex-Jos Verstappen car that recently acquired. Very cool bit of kit, and he's off to do the George Begg Festival actually over there next weekend when you guys are all running around at Topol. So a lot on in Kiwi land next weekend as the winners get down to the Shannon Speed Series victory lane. Well, it sets the tone, doesn't it, that race, for an amazing championship, but Arise Racing proving their class once again, Tom. Champions last year, and they pick up where they left off.
Very much so, from the pole position to take the race win. There's Jackson Evans hopping out of the Ferrari 296 GD3 car. He's got plenty of experience now behind the wheel of these cars as well, so he wrapped with that result. And not only that, but just staying calm and collected and having not only Jayden O'Jay to fight him at the end there, and having to hold him off at the last, at MG, but also when he had Brock Feeney behind him pressuring him, he had a restart to deal with. So a lot of elements that he had to face and just stay calm, cool, collected, which sounds easy on paper, sounds easy for us in the commentary box, but when you're behind the wheel of one of these cars, the heart rate's up, the adrenaline's pumping, it's so easy to make a mistake and for it all to go away in a simple error. But didn't put a foot wrong, no pit stop infringements, and maximum points today here at Phillip Island.
Didn't Jackson Evans show his class at the end of that when the huge pressure, he got the race win, the first of a brand new season. Rusty?
I'm at another story here, Krause, and it involves, unfortunately, Renee Gracie, who was just chatting with the crew here at MPC. You look like you had the AM win. What happened there?
I don't know the full story just yet, but apparently I started the engine too soon and there was technically someone working on the car still. But I tell you what, when I got told that I had to serve that penalty, I wasn't going to come in, and I decided to do the right thing. But I think in future I'm just going to stay out. I'd rather have the win and lose it than not have it at all.
Okay, thank you for talking to us. Hard luck. Hope tomorrow's better.
Thank you.
There you go. Let's go to Stubbsy.
Thank you, Rusty. Jackson Evans, wow, what a victory. Geez, Jayden O'Jay, he pushed you all the way to the end. Outstanding stuff. Well done.
No, thanks very much. Yeah, obviously Jayden was coming pretty fast, but I think, it's credit to Elliot. He started the race well, managed the safety car restart. Obviously handed the car to me in the lead, so it was up to me to bring it home. So yeah, a lot of pressure from behind, but I think all the heavy lifting was done at the beginning. So big thanks to Elliot and also the entire Rise Racing GT team.
Well, that's the thing, the championship team from last year, gee, they can turn out a car, can't they? So professional, Rise. Considering last year was their first year, they've really gone on with it again.
Yeah, obviously, switching from the, I guess, the sister car, but, taking over the reins from Chazzy and Liam and, stepping up with Adam. So it's been a great transition, but, the car's been flawless even when we were testing here. So just a pleasure to drive and, looking forward to tomorrow already.
Great job. We're going to go for a wander here because I've just spotted Elliot has just arrived. So I'll get Elliot to come on over because, mate, this is as much your victory as it has been Jackson's. An outstanding drive, and he gave you a real big pat on the back too.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was pretty intense. I feel like I was hanging on a bit. The car was a bit loose and the Merc was fast. But, yeah, we did it, and it's awesome.
Mate, you deserve this. Enjoy every moment. It's a big year ahead, but this is a great start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great start, and I'm feeling more comfy in the car, so looking forward to having a crack this year.
Good job, Elliot.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Okay, so we'll keep walking as well because I can see they were our outright winners and our Pro-Am winners. I'll just jump in real quickly. Sorry, gentlemen, if we can just stay, Shane and Ben as well. Guys, congratulations, our victors for the AMs today. Well done. You must be thrilled.
Yeah, wrapped. It was a bit unexpected. We hadn't had much running prior to this round, and we hopped out and got out there, and it wasn't too bad. So, yeah, it's translated into a win. It's just awesome. Credit to the team and everyone.
Well done, Ben. Shane Woodman, for yourself.
Yeah, no, it's especially if I looped it 5 or 6 laps into it, I thought, that was all game over. But we're quite lucky with a couple of safety cars. But Ben does an amazing job every time he hops in the car, and credit to him and the team. Thank you.
Well done, guys. Congratulations. Rusty, back to you.
Stubbsy, thank you very much. And the good news is, Bella, we get to do it all again tomorrow. How good was Saturday?
Oh, it was unbelievable, the racing action. It was non-stop. It was jam-packed, Rusty. We hardly had a time to take a breath because there was just so many amazing races out there. So enjoyed every second of today and really looking forward. More races to come tomorrow. And wow, didn't that GT4 race not disappoint earlier today, and the GT3s as well. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of alternate stories. We've just seen Stubbsy there where the celebrations are happening in Victory Lane. Just over the cameraman's shoulder here, the stricken car of Brock Feeney's is being wheeled back up the lane. The car that suffered that penalty for Peroni and Rosser, they're in deep conversation in their garage about what happened as far as the release was concerned. So tomorrow, of course, you'll be able to join us in the morning on 7+ and in the afternoon on 7 Mate as well. And if you're watching right around the world on YouTube, just follow our social media channels depending upon what category you follow, whether it's GT4 or GT3. You'll have broadcast times there and a whole lot more. I think we're just about done for today. On behalf of Bella, Chris Stubbs and all of our team, including Richard Crail and Thomas Randall, we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.